Hello, I'm Annalouise, and today I'm going to be talking about mindlessness. I remember when I first heard the term mindfulness, I was a little bit confused because for me, meditation was about when my mind fell away and there was peace and tranquility and serenity. And so it felt much more like mindless rather than mindful. And today I'm going to touch on how we might invite ourselves to surrender more into mindlessness and the magic that can happen as a result. And I'm going to share a story on that. I think what's wonderful about the human mind is that it is so trainable, and we can turn it to any task, and we can learn that task, and we can focus on it, and we can improve, and we can solve problems. I mean, it is truly astounding what the human mind has done. And my sense is also that there's something much bigger, that if we open and surrender to it, it can provide us insight and information in a very different way, and things that are beyond what are our normal reality. So what I'm going to call our small mind, our human mind, feels great at what it knows and what it wants to discover next, right? It can go, I know this, I want to learn about this, or I've got a hypothesis about this, let's explore this, let's see how we can progress that form of thinking, that form of exploration. For me, my experience of big mind, which is where my little mind falls away and I open myself up to information being received from a bigger consciousness, is that I receive information completely out of my awareness. So when it comes through, it's surprising, it's inspiring, and it's beautiful. And I think we're very trained, for those of us who have had a traditional education, we're very trained to use our small mind, and we've got that very honed. And yet I think many of us, including me, have a tendency to overuse the small mind and not use the big mind as much. My sense is that it's just perfect to have them in balance, right? We can use the small mind when we want to use it for tasks relevant to small mind. And then we can draw and relax in big mind when that feels more relevant. Have you ever felt almost like you're sort of contorted by your mind, like you're wanting to make a decision, but it's just, you can't find the answer, and you're going backwards and forwards, and rather than come to a conclusion, it feels more and more stressful. I certainly have that sometimes, where I'm wanting to make a choice and my small mind is trying to work it out. And the more I think about it, the more stressed I get. And at that point, it's a real invitation for me to surrender into big mind. I'm going to share with you a little story, which is just one little story of me surrendering into not knowing. I'd hired a car, and one day I came back to the car and it had quite a big scratch along the front right panel. And I was like, oh, interesting. So someone had hit the car while I was on the beach. And very quickly I was able to turn it around and think, oh, what's the blessing in this? I'm safe, I'm well, I haven't had a big accident, all is fine. It's a bit unfortunate, but there must be a deeper purpose here. And I was flying home in a few days' time, and I knew that if I took the car back as it was, I would have been charged a disproportionate amount of money in order for it to be fixed by the hire car company. And so it made sense to me to get it repaired before I took it back. And as I had very little time, I was like, right, the next day I better get onto this. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try my local villages, my local towns, see whether someone can help me. So I went out and drove down the road. And as I was coming towards one of the villages, I just realised I really had no idea where to get my car fixed. I'd tried to do a search on Google, but it didn't really come up with much light. And I just surrendered to the fact I had no idea where to take my car. So I thought, okay, I'll surrender here. I have no idea. I'll let my body decide where to take me. So at the next roundabout, rather than have any sense of where I was going to go, I just let my body decide when to turn off. And rather than take me to the village, it took me onto the highway. I was like, oh, I'm curious. So I went down the highway, and every exit I was like trusting my body. Does it want to turn off? Does it not? And then there was a big junction that would have made sense to turn off at, because it would have taken me in directions towards towns that might have served me. But sure enough, it was a no, and so I carried on down. And then after a few hundred metres, I was slowing the car down and indicating, and I turned left. And I was this curious. It's a really small road, and there was a charity shop just there. And I ended up pulling into the charity shop, and I was just, I'm wanting my car to be fixed. Well, I'm at a charity shop. And I was thinking, am I getting in the way of the process here? What's going on? So anyway, I got out the car, went into the charity shop, feeling a little bit confused, because I was like, I really don't need anything right now from this charity shop, but this is where my body has landed me. So I sort of stood there, sort of a little bit lost, to be honest. And then there was this person there, and I just suddenly felt called to ask them. And I said, by any chance, do you know where I could get my car repaired? I've got a scratch on my front right panel. And he was like, oh, I know exactly where you need to go. And I was like, oh, right. He said, yeah, 2 weeks ago, I damaged my car, and I took it to this place, and they were fantastic. They were really efficient. They were great value for money. They were really nice. Would you like to come and see my car, and I can show you what they did? And he took me outside, and he showed me his car, and sure enough, it was amazing. And I was like, wonderful, thank you very much. Where is it? He said, oh, it's really close. You just go down this little side road, another little road, and then it's on the end on the left. And I was like, thank you. And so sure enough, I went down and followed these little roads and got to a place that I didn't know about. And I went in and I spoke to the man, and I said, by any chance, could you repair the car? And he looked at it. He said, yeah, we can repair that. And I said, oh, when can you do it? And he said, oh, we can do it next week. I'm like, actually, I fly out in 2 days. By any chance, could you do it sooner? And he was like, no, we can't do it sooner. We're really busy. And I just paused and fell into silence, and was, might there be any possibility of doing it sooner? And he went inside, and then 5 minutes later he came back and said, how about tomorrow morning? And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's perfect. And so sure enough, to cut a long story short, the next day I took the car there. He repaired it. He charged me very little money. They did an incredible job. It looked as good as new. It was obviously clearly very well loved in the way they did it. He was like, oh, I hope you're happy with it. I hope you're happy with it. And I looked at it, and it was just perfect. And so not only did I have the blessing of being able to come into connection with them, I had the real blessing of having another lesson in when I really let go the miracles and the incredible level of information and consciousness that's present. and the fact that it's all here, you know, it's all in the field to be received. And it's not something I always find easy. You know, my little mind often wants to be in control and get in the way and be in charge and have its own stories and connect to, you know, keep me safe in the fear. And, you know, it's all of that is true. And luckily, time after time, I get lessons of what the real truth is in consciousness. And why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing this story for those of us that sometimes find that we're getting unnecessarily caught up in our minds and feel the stress that comes from that, and maybe the tension in the body. And the invitation to say to ourselves, can I just relax and let go in this moment? Can I fall into not knowing? Can I allow myself to be in that empty place of not having the answer and not expecting an answer, right, as well? Not like suddenly expecting to be guided, you know, in the way perhaps I was on that occasion, but just simply to relax, to let the mind fall away, to relax in our being, to relax knowing that in that bigger space we're truly held. And we can be ourselves without having to worry about the future, what we have to do, how to figure it out, what's right, what's wrong. Just to rest in mindlessness. To rest in mindlessness. And we've all experienced mindlessness from one time or the other. Maybe when we're watching a beautiful sunset, or we see a gorgeous puppy down the street bounding along and our heart's open. Our minds aren't thinking or trying to figure it out. We're just witnessing the joy and the beauty. And it's great, I think, to turn our attention towards that, you know, just like after we've experienced a mindless moment, just going, oh, how good does that feel? Just to be able to receive, and to rest, and to know that that's here for us in every moment. Every moment we can invite more of that into our lives. So I hope you've enjoyed that little story and my invitation into mindlessness. If you feel anyone might benefit from this video, please do share it. Anyone that might receive any amount of peace or any invitation to more ease in their lives, I'd love you to share it. And if you've liked it, please press like and do subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know more about what I do, you can go to www.resonating.love. Thank you.